Hello everyone and welcome to my first long build. Today I'm going to be working on ruin parts. So the whole point of this, as I told last video, is my players will be coming across the ruin island, and I need them to find terrain like this, or this, so they can rebuild it and turn it into their own base. So right now I'm working on a corner piece for a tavern, and this is going to be modular because I need to make the actual room available to the players so they can actually move stuff. So I'm going to start the day off by working on the actual outside of this, and then moving on to building the floor. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove my board I used to carry stuff on, and my clear coat. I'm going to go in here and get my large brush, which should be under here. And all I'm going to do is take my black paint. And what I'd like to do for this foam stuff, because it's very hard to get in there with the paint, I'm going to take a little cup of water, as you can see here. Let me just get that out of frame for you. And with this over it, I'm just going to drip some water into the paint. Only as much as I need, though, on the cap. So, you end up with this. Now, I'll dry off my brush over here. I have a towel hanging up just for that on the wall. Find it helps me a lot. And I am going to grab a stir stick real quick. And I'm going to stir up my wash until it's kind of a thick milk consistency. About like that. And that should work for aging both wood and actually getting my base coat onto the bricks. Only problem is the base coat takes a while to dry. Let me throw this in a bin real quick. And in fact, bring my bin over here while I do this video. So, I'm going to go and, with a semi-ruined brush here, this one, which I normally use for dry brushing, I'm going to go in with my paint, get a bit of it, and I'm going to start applying it to the brick. Very thickly, letting it run in between the cracks and fill everything, so you don't end up with that. And because there's water in it, it'll soak into the wood, or into the foam. And then what happens is, it'll actually seal it as well, and then I'll go over with my Krylon over there, clear coat, or what is it, Rust-Oleum clear coat once I do this, and I'll seal it even more, making it a bit more hardened and stronger. And as you can see, it fills in just about everything. So I'm just going to take my time here and do that real quick. So I'll cut to a time-lapse, I guess. I've actually changed my mind about the time-lapse bit, mostly due to actual restraints of how the camera looks. It was very dizzying, so I'm just getting through this real time. So the whole point is that, as I'm doing this, afterwards I'll let this dry and then I'll move on to another project. Like, for example, painting the well over there. Get some more into those cracks there. There we go. And I'll just continue this until it's completely painted and ready. And the best part is, since the foam is porous, it'll actually absorb the paint into it, kind of like a dye. As you can see by the other side, already being painted a bit. But that just confirms to me that this is being painted all the way through, and I won't have to worry about, dipping it in a wash later. Now, the only problem I can see with this is it takes a while to dry, and as you're doing it, it might get a bit soggy, but afterwards it should be pretty good. The only thing I would, worry about doing is that. So I'm going to put that in my water, so does it dry up on me. Where did I put my Gorilla Glue? Right behind the camera there. Let me just grab that. I just knocked a few of the little stones out of place here. So what I'll do is just remove it real quick, add in some nice pieces of glue, stick it back in, and do a bit of surgery to make it looking right again. And now press down. And that should be applied properly. Now I take a bit of black paint on the brush, but that doesn't matter for me. Mostly because everything I do is always coated in a black coat, unless if it doesn't need a black coat. For example, those little trunks I did, like right here, I got this brown coat only. It's really nice to just, sit down and talk and craft a bit. I decided to make these into videos for the sake of, I'm going to be doing this stuff anyway, why not share my information out? And yeah, look, see, you can see how it's starting to bleed through all the way now, which means that this will be soon completely covered. And the best part about this tactic is it seals that super glue, because the reactive ingredients in super glue react with water, which means that it dries almost instantly. Now I'm noticing I'm getting a bit of paint on the table, so I'm just going to go and grab a board here for the rest of this video, my little dry brushing board. I found that using a piece of wood like that is better for getting paint off the brush. And I have a bit of a problem here. Let me get my towel. I want to keep this a bit nice looking, so it's fine if there's a bit of brown here and there, or black in this case, but I can't just have like huge blotches of oily looking paint everywhere. Here's my brush. Okay, so as you can see, this is working. Pretty nice to do. Doesn't take too long to do this process either, and because the actual foam absorbs it, I don't have to worry about chipping paint anytime soon. Now, what I use is this DecoArt 50-cent acrylic bottles. They used to be at Pack Tans, but you can find them at eBay or online if you look it up, probably. Most likely Amazon. I use that mostly because I can't afford some of the model paints at this point. I might do a Patreon down below, though, if you would like to help out. Just like to request builds and stuff. I don't know, probably not, though. If you look in the description and it's there, then you know. Now, you'll notice I've been getting into rambling, but if you guys don't mind, I'm going to be silent for a while I work on this. Now, I've noticed little areas here where the actual foam is starting to break off and get removed again, so I'm just going to take it and shove it right back where it was. And I'll go over with my brush a bit, seal it off a bit better in some places where I missed. And I'll just give that a second. Get back my brush. Since there's already water there, that stuff should be hardening pretty fast. Ooh. I'm just going to avoid those little areas for a second. Get the back of this though, since it seems to be pretty intact. Ooh, got a bit of stick there. As you can notice, it's a bit of a messy process too. Not great. Yeah, put that on the thing. Get a bit more black paint in there. Now, I actually just discovered this recently, this painting process with the wash, because last time I did this, I started with just a basic paint and tried to spray paint it, but if I could show you, there's still bits of white there, if you can see in there. It wasn't big enough for me to notice, but it still messed with me. This one's too, but I started using a bit of wash after Mod Podge. The only problem is the Mod Podge caused it to flow around a bit more. In this case, this stuff is just absorbing right into the foam, so hopefully it'll cover a bit more. And I can also tell it's getting a bit more rigid as I do this, perhaps because it's expanding from the water, or it could be after it dries. Either way is a good thing. And that area is still a bit wet with super glue. I'm going to try to avoid that so I don't get my brush sticky again. And I do mean again since I have done that several times already. Nothing much though that will harm my brush. And I think I'm starting to run out of this, so I'm going to do the same process again. A bit of paint, like a drop. Put my brush out. Take this, and once again, using my brush to pick up the water. Now I use an actual brush instead of most of the things I could use, like a funnel, mostly due to being able to control it a bit better without dripping as much. Where did I leave my... Here it is. Let me just clean up this bit of wet mess here before it dries. Put that back where it was. And then rinse and repeat. Now this area right here seems a bit fragile, which is a bit concerning. But hopefully after I add a few sprays and mistings and paints and colors and all sorts of sealant, it'll be a bit better in general. Finally get this back area a bit. And the best part is too, also, because of doing it on both sides, the paint tends to flow to the other side because of the actual physics of I forgot what it's called, but the physics of the actual liquid. It wants to beam up, so it'll actually run through to the center of the bricks, causing it to be easier for me to paint, instead of it being only like a little surface. And this should be pretty much done after this, and then I'll move on to maybe putting together a few other objects for me to paint. Allergy season can be a bit rough, but I'll get over it. So if you hear me sneezing for these next couple of videos, that's probably why. Pollen in the air has been bad recently. And there we go. Base coat is done on that. So I'm going to pour this back in as carefully as I can, close off the bottle, and set that aside. I'm going to leave my brush in there. And for this next part, I'm going to make some fire pits. Well, not really fire pits, but stone, well, yeah, fire pits, like what we have nowadays. So, you got these candles at the dollar store for, well, $1 for 4 of them. And as you can see, they work pretty nice as fire. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a bit of super glue along the edges of them, and I'm going to brick them up to make them look better. Now, this step will be a bit tedious for me, seeing that the actual bricks will have to be in place. I'm going to set that over there so I don't bump it. Now, as you can imagine, I would go in and do the same thing again with how I did the actual base coat on the other brick project. But I'm just doing this right now while I wait for that to dry. Overall, I feel like this is coming out pretty good. And I might even use some cotton balls in a bit to add some smoke. But I'll have to see how that looks after I put like pieces of wood over it and decorate this thing. Maybe give it some shading. And I'm pretty sure this stuff is starting to set. Yeah, it's starting to set up a bit, so I might have to go with another coat. I'm hoping not, though, that I can actually cover this by then. That's a bit too thick. Yeah, but you start getting this, like, stone, what's that called? Like, brazier? I don't know. It starts with B. I'll put the actual word up if I can, if I remember in editing. Okay. Whoop, there goes some bricks. That's the one problem. These things are, like, lightless. Or weightless. So let's put you here, maybe. And, looks like we're in the home stretch, almost, for this, and it hasn't dried up yet. So, hopefully I can get all of these attached before I have to do another coat of super glue. Nope, I have to do more. So I'm going to just add a bit of super glue on here, checking periodically to see if my actual previous project is still drying or not. The thing is about that black paint getting on the brush, it doesn't do much to the actual glue itself. It more of just hardens around that area, so you actually get more glue per dip, but I wouldn't actually do that purposely. That was just an honest mistake while I was working on that. Forgot about that. Probably should have protected it a bit more because there will be a bit of graying in the future to my glue, but that's already almost empty. Been using that bottle so much recently. Dropped another one there. finally get this final layer on, and I'll have a nice looking fire pit. So you can say this is like a peek-in or something. I can put it inside my actual tower, which is probably where it's going to go in the game. That's a bit too big. That's about right. Have to find these thinner pieces of brick so I don't mess it up, and that should be it. Here, get rid of that bit too much exposure, but as you can see, it's starting to look like a brick fire pit. So the next part of this would be to do the top of this now, since I can grab the edges. I'm going to add some super glue onto the top of this. Now keep in mind, super glue, if you do too much of it, will eat away your foam. It is not foam friendly, but it hardens by the time it starts to eat it. If you use too much super glue onto one area of foam, it will dissolve the area. So what I'm doing now is putting like an ornate edge to this thing, making sure to cover up a bit of those rings. I'll also squeeze to shape some of these pieces of stone, or foam in this case. And as I do this, it should start to be coming out pretty nicely. Now, I'm going to keep these caps on, but like the black magic crap, I'm going to cut those off afterwards, after I do a little spray. As you can see here, get rid of that. It's coming out like a nice wooden, or not wooden, stone brazier. That's the word, brazier, or yeah, the fire pits, or whatever they're called. But this will work as like a signal, or a little camp the players can make. Maybe like use it as a save point, like in most video games, you light the actual fire. So I'm going to turn that on and see how that looks for a second. Looks pretty nice. I'd say that's pretty close to what I want it. That's a bit too small that way. Add that in. And as I continuously do this, you'll notice it'll start to be taking shape. And I'm almost out of bricks myself, so I'm going to be cutting a few later, off screen. So let's move you into position, press down a bit, make sure you're not loose. And I'd say that's pretty much done for the form. So yeah, that's still drying. Here's my plan with it though. I'm going to cut the light real quick, turn this on, and do a test light. Yeah, you can see how that would look cool within like an abandoned castle. You get characters like, if I move this properly, standing around the fire. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work pretty nicely. Now how does it look through the window? Oh yeah, that's the look I wanted. So, I know that's ready. Gonna set this aside. And perhaps, if this is ready to, I can give another base coating. Now keep in mind, you might want to use a bit less water than I did. Make sure my brush is ready. And yep, there's a bit of super glue on it, so good thing I used my ruined brush. Or you know what, why am I not painting the actual fire? Now for this case, I'm not going to use that much water, because I don't want the watery paint to seep into the actual electronics of this piece. And plus, it's not like it's dramatic and necessary on this that I get it right, due to it being a smaller little wood or stone fire pit instead. So I'm just going to add in a bit more here. Being careful not to get it on the bottom, but I want to get it into the circuitry. Get the inside too. Now you might be noticing I'm avoiding the white cap of the actual light. That's mostly due to not wanting to get that mess up so much. I can still use that piece. I might have to keep it on for this. I forgot to turn on the light again. That's much better. And we're slowly getting into the final bits of this. And a piece fell off, didn't it? Yep. You guys basically know the drill with that. Just touch it with a bit of glue there, making sure not to get any on my fingers, and stick it back on. And just like that, it's good as new. Use some sponging manner. And I got a bit more black onto the actual marker there, so that's going to be removed in this case. In fact, why am I not holding it from the marker itself? Or not the marker, the cover. Don't know why I was saying marker all that time. Also looks like I have a bit of paint leaking from my black bottle. That could be a bit of an issue, but luckily it didn't get on the table yet. And once again, because of the liquid nature of this, it'll be absorbed by the foam and get into those little cracks that a standard traditional black paint cannot reach. Get rid of a bit of the excess. And there we go, second object is primed. Get a bit more in there, check for any missing gaps, and that should be good. Gonna put that back in its container, and I'm gonna wipe off this bottle because there's way too much black paint on the outside of it. Just personal preference to keep stuff clean. I mean, you don't have to, I just do it. And there we go. I'll see you guys in part 2, I guess, of building the ruins. After these are dry, I'll go on to painting.